Hey guys. Hello. Hello to all the note takers. We always have many. We always show up very early. Repeat.
Hello.
Still human, right? We haven't automated you. The joke is like there's so many note takers that I'm just joking. Like, just validating who's human here. Jokes aside, thanks for joining. Okay. Brad, Connor, Lionel, a bunch of people joining. Just wait a few minutes. Hey, Callan.
Hey, Carlos. How you doing?
More note takers showing up. And real people like Marone. Hey, Marone.
Hey.
Okay. Just another minute. All right, so we have 20 people in. I think we can get started. Pete, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining. As always, we do have a code of conduct for the llm-d community. It's linked in the document. You can go there. And if you're new and you have not yet joined the Slack, you can find the link to join through there. You can tag the @community team to get a hold of us if you need help with anything. And then one thing I did want to call out is we started to see a lot of conference talks being posted to YouTube from PyTorch, from KubeCon and things like that. So we've got them now on a videos page. So if you give a conference talk somewhere and it gets saved to YouTube, shoot it over to me and we'll get it added to the site. So we'll just keep evolving that over time. But it's kind of starting to get more in 2026 with meetups happening and things like that, and other people wanting to give talks. So I think having some easy places we can send folks to on existing talks that have been given, I think is pretty helpful. So that's all I've got on the community side. So I'll pass it back to you, Carlos.
All right. Thanks, Pete. Yeah, welcome back, everyone. We skipped last week for those in the US. I hope you guys had a good break. You probably noticed that we had a release right before the holidays, so it was great. So as usual, we do open forums. I have some highlights that I will call out here, but again, chime in anytime, and then I go through the SIG updates. In that spirit, kicking off open forum highlight, it's of course our 04 release. As usual, this is a huge team effort, so big thank you to everyone involved. It's always a big lift. This is a project that touches many things, as you know. It's always an interesting coordination challenge. We made it again. There are some very exciting things in this release. Major progress for latency improvement. Made also big progress on being truly hardware agnostic, right? So living up to the promise. So you see that with GPU, AWS CFA, and some of Intel improvements, we continue to make progress. More to come, but it's nice to see those milestones being met. We also have a new features in this release, which is still experimental alpha, but we have our first auto-scaling support in this release. So check it out. We have the blog, they have some numbers. Proud about it. Way more to come. If there is any feedback from the features that made into the process, anything, reviews, we always more than welcome to hear from you, the community, and also any feature requests for next releases, as we are now, of course, going through the process of setting the roadmap. I'll spend 1 minute on the release process. We continue to learn. One thing that we did for 04, it was really to time box it, right? Meaning that you set a date and then we work through features that can make that time frame. We feel like having a more frequent cadence, time boxing things helps us to just think through like big themes that you can have for each release. So we continue with that approach for 05, which is targeted for late January. And now we are going through the process of selecting, defining the features that will be in 05. We welcome feedback for that. And again, if there is any other feedback for the process itself, or again, things that you want to see or sleep or anything like that, now that you're becoming more and more mature, we appreciate that, and you're trying to be more and more disciplined as we go through releases. That is on the release update. Is there any open forum items, complaints, suggestions, any random topic anyone would like to raise? Okay, very good. So let's start the SIG updates, and if all the questions come up, we can always address them. So we start with SIG installation with Greg.
Yeah, just an update from the benchmarking / SIG installation meeting. We're going to be collaborating on direct integration of benchmarking into the guides. I'm going to kick this work stream off in SIG installation on Thursday, so excited for that. There are a bunch of other updates that we wanted to scope into 04 for installation side, like the K gateway updates, and some general TLS cert stuff. So we'll be taking a look at that coming up shortly. And then for CI/CD, we just hope to revamp all of our automation this release. Not sure we'll necessarily get to it, but that's a key goal of ours. So those are the two things that we're really looking at going forward.
Yeah, Greg, one comment on the benchmark integration, right? So this will be a push that we'll be making just to make it easier to use some of the benchmark tooling that to put in place. So like Greg said, every app guide having some benchmark support. We've been going through this process. Again, we invite comments, suggestions from folks, but we feel like there is somewhat like a disconnect between benchmarking some of the guides, and we'll be addressing this as a kind of priority and focus for the next release. Okay, so just want to call that out, and again invite suggestions if anyone has any. Okay, anything else from you, Greg?
Nope.
Okay, any comments, questions for this thing? Sean?
Just a quick question. What's the best way to participate in this particular SIG, specifically around some of this benchmarking work?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Carlos. No, go for it.
Yeah, we do have a SIG benchmarking, which it's running again in parallel. Mars is also here. We're trying to find like the intersections. Greg, I'll let you comment because again, right now this is parallel, and that's exactly what we want to fix. So, Greg?
I was just going to say the location where I think we've chosen to do this collaboration is SIG installation, because benchmarking already has a significant amount of work that they cram into their meetings. They're really good about being efficient on time. So I'm thinking the Thursday meeting is probably the best place to take care of this.
Okay.
Yeah. +1. Room?
Yeah, on benchmarking the guides, do you expect to get that into all the guides, or would you need help? I feel like my internet is bad.
Internet's fine. I think it depends on how invasive the implementation that we come up with is. Like if this is something that we decide early in the grand scheme of the release, I think we should be able to roll it out to all the guides. If it's something that we need to design like first-class integration and there are externalities of this, then maybe it's like we do one guide, test it out, see how it goes, and roll it out to the others whenever we have time. Comments, Carlos?
Yeah, I think you said it well. The Holy Grail really end state, ideally you want something as simple as like a single line in every single guide to test things out, right? It probably takes some iterations to get there, but that's kind of the North Star. Cool.
So yeah, I think you already said what I wanted to say. I think each guide should have something for a benchmark.
Yeah,
I think this should be.
Marcio?
Yeah, the goal is exactly that. Probably there will be some delays between the release of the benchmark and the release of llm-d. I'm going to discuss that when I talk about the llm-d benchmark. But yes, that's absolutely the goal. As Greg said, only operational issues might prevent us from doing that in a timely fashion. That's all.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I'm sure Marcio will touch on some of these things when you do benchmarking. So just moving on from now, inference scheduler.
Yeah, so the inference scheduler 04 was released. Basically, the last change was adding the data parallelism PD support for DP. So it's also in the 04 release. Everything now is inside for data parallelism. We were scheduling. Istio now also supports multiple ports. There will be supposed to be today a patch release for Istio 1.28 to support this. We tested on the VLLM simulator. We have support for emulating data parallelism. The next step is to do it on real VLLM and try to see how and do benchmarking. So the roadmap for 0.5 was published. Well, we welcome comments. Basically, we want to the main thing we want to do is have well-lit paths documented and implement, of course, enhancement to make sure that everything works as expected. One of the main things that comes up is that, I don't know, people are not aware that llm-d does support multi-model and multi-LoRa. So it does. We want to have a well-lit path document explaining that. There are several ways on how to do it. Another thing is the disaggregated PD. We want to also have a document explaining, and we are doing some adjustments in the implementation and extending it to enable more configurability. As I said, with the data parallelism serving, also we'll have a well-lit path document, and we will do some benchmarking. Another thing is showing how the SLOs, the flow control and priorities, a well-lit path for that, how it works. Another thing that we are going to support is the autoscaler scale from and to 0, which have, again, two parts, one in the autoscaler, the other part is from the inference gateway flow control. So this is also an item. And developer experience improvements, some Python dependencies, Docker builds, things of that sort. Another thing we found that is important, having add-in integration test, meaning, for instance, we discovered some metrics in VLLM that are deprecated and were scraped by the inference gateway. So we do want to have some integration tests, making sure that everything is as expected. And last thing, which is also related to the multimodal LoRa, is we have a new proposal for multimodal LoRa support using config map, something that can simplify the way of configuring that. That's it on our end.
Great. Questions, comments for this one? Thumbs up work here. Yeah. Okay. Let's do PD disaggregation. I'm sorry, jump over KV disaggregation, Laurent.
Yeah, giving a heads up that on next Monday, we'll be changing the repository name to llm-d KV cache. So basically dropping manager from there. So update your local folks if needed. 0.4 was also released. Obviously, we had a lot of community contributions. I think all the major features were contributed by the community. And I think in 0.5, we'll continue seeing this trend. I won't go over the items. You can see the highlights in the linked release. We also published the 0.5 roadmap. So starting in this release, we'll be also publishing, or we'll have a KV offloading section, or have it directly in llm-d. So far we had it in VLM with the CPU offloading connector and other enhancements in VLM. And now we'll have an llm-d storage connector in our repository. Scheduling objectives, so multi-model support, multi-model or LoRa support, disaggregated tokenization, being a step towards the tokens in architecture or tokens in, tokens out in llm-d. We'll be also working on robustness in general, breaking dependencies, robustness for production, I think is a good theme for this release, for the local release at least. On the KV offloading side, we have landing the llm-d storage connector. There are many PRs open already. Once it lands, we'll start also working on our lead path. There's an enhanced KV cache memory layout that is already in VLM, but it will be rolled into, once we have the VLM release, we'll work on updating that. So for that new memory layout, we're already seeing significant performance improvements with the offloading connector, and we expect to see the same with the Nexel connector. So that's also in progress for 0.5, at least it is planned. On the community side, we target updating the new tiered prefix cache guide with storage and ideally tiered offloading that mixes or that utilizes both CPU and storage. We'll also be working with Song on a new workload patterns case study, starting with multi-turn chat and llm-d benefits, adjusted configurations, and so on. Feel free to propose additional items or request additional items for 0.5 in our Slack or in the exhibition.
Thanks, Maroon. Yeah, it's great to see the list of contributors growing, right? This is about community and the fact that you're attracting more people. It's a big validation. So it's great to see this. And just look at the releases again. Everyone that got involved, a lot of people outside the core team. This is a very encouraging again data point. Great. Any question, comments? All right. PD disaggregation, Tyler or Rob?
Yeah. So one FYI, VLLM 0.12.0 came out today. So this is really timed around the Mistral release. So Mistral, there's some, all of these are Apache 2. Mistral is, a set of small dense models. Mistral Large 3, large scale MOE, like DeepSeek, but fewer and larger experts. Same sort of class, so fits in with YDP well. We're still working on deploying YDP on GB200 and NVL72. I don't know of any actual open issues with the current state of VLLM for this. This is a bare metal cluster, no Kubernetes, so we're running into a lot of setup issues here, which I think we are mostly through and trying to scale up our experiments right now. And then in review and upstream VLLM, we have AMD support for YDP incoming. So there are PRs for their Mori all-to-alls, as well as a PR for using Mori for the PD transfer, although we might just use Nixel for that for RockM as well.
Great. Thanks, Tyler.
And then one last call out is there's been a lot of activity around Elastic EP
Yeah.
Just like progress upstream, trying to get the second PR in, and there's a third one incoming that uses Nixle for the connectors. Yeah, key here being that it's easier to resize the Nixle connectors rather than reconstruct them like we do for the current communicator groups in VLLM. But just, I wanted to call it out because like this is the intersection between wide EP and auto scaling. And so we'll need to figure out how these come together in llm-d.
Yeah. Thanks, Todd. Yeah, big plus one on the intersection with auto scaling. I think that's where llm-d itself can shine, especially now that we have some of the foundation pieces in place. So this is something that you should bring to SIG. Also have a quick question, Tyler. Have any of the Nixle, UCL, the UCCL EP stuff showed up in the VLLM side? You heard anything about Nix and UCL, the discussions?
Oh, there's two angles here. One, you can use UCL as a backend for Nixle now. I think that's in now.
Almost, yeah, in 2 weeks. So that's a PR that came from us, the llm-d community, that will land probably in 2 weeks. I think it's targeted for December 12th. Yeah, so like 2 weeks from now. So that will be in. I'm curious about
radar. And then the other UCL project is they have somebody from the UCL team is working to get VLLM YEP, not the KV transfers, but the sparse altals working using UCL. So that's in progress and would support EFA. I think we now have like a few paths forward to getting EFA YDP working.
Yeah, that's the one I was referring to. I was just curious to see if it's getting traction. Looks like it at least is bubbling up, right? Okay, great. Thank you. Let's move over to observability. Sally?
Hey, yeah, SIG Observability hasn't met in a good few weeks. We all had conflicts the last meeting and we switched to bi-weekly. So tomorrow is our first meeting in a while, so I'll probably have more updates tomorrow, but just a few things. The llm-d inference scheduler metrics merged, so those are in place. There's a small fix for an annoying bug where the EPP metrics, the token didn't match the service count, or it was a regression from when GA added a new flag upstream that didn't get pulled down. So that should be fixed now, well, when that PR merges. And tracing, I spent a long time yesterday updating the proposal and the POC, so please check that out. I think the project might be in a state now where we could prioritize it, or at least have some like more discussions around if we want it and what we want. It's a lot, and so I can't take it on by myself because it will require some experts from each of the components. But I gave it a good first shot of what I think what spans make sense to me. So just check that out. And if anyone's especially interested in that, please reach out to me and we can work together on it. Like, I don't mind if someone takes my working branch and just like pushes it forward or whatever. So.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. If no questions or comments, let's go to auto scaling. Abhishek?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, as already mentioned, WVA is now released as an experimental feature inside llm-d release. So do give it a try, create issues, or provide feedback, comments, anything on the Slack channel if you have. On this, so going ahead from this release, we are working on architectural improvements to enhance pluggability. With this release, we found we have two kinds of auto scaling mechanisms. So we are trying to enhance now the pluggability inside WVA so that others from the community also can plug in their own auto scalers. We are also stabilizing the saturation-based scaling mechanism that we have in the release. And the other new feature that we are working towards is scale from and to zero implementation. There has been like design docs floating around with the community, and now we are moving into the implementation by integrating some of the aspects with the llm-d scheduler.
Abhishek, maybe you want to comment that is from into 0 is something that you're targeting for 05. Keep me honest here.
Yes, we are targeting for 05. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. If no questions, comments, we'll do the last one, benchmarking. Marcio.
Oh, hi. So we had a bit of back and forth. One of the decisions was to have the benchmark release out of sync with the main llm-d release. The main reason for this is there are always some sort of instability close to the release. We have a lot of, until the last moment, several V0, RC, something tags. We need a set of tags that's stable, so it will give us time to stability in terms of functionality and performance before we can cut a release for the benchmark. So 2 weeks. Next Wednesday we'll have the release. Inference Max is now supported as one of the workloads. We replaced the FM-Perf, removed the FM-Perf, added Inference Max. Okay, with a few workload profiles. We can add more later, of course. One of the requests from several folks, it was to have this ability to deploy multiple load generating pods at the same time, directed at one stack. So we have it now. All the pods will be running the same harness, the same load generator, the same workload profile, directing load at a particular stack, report independently. So now, in a scenario like that, you're going to have multiple performance reports being produced. You are still discussing how to integrate that. It is not an easy task to integrate. We have now all well-lit paths, except for YDP. YDP is still a problem for us. We have all integrated into the benchmark. That's something that we need to work more with the SIG installation, of course. So basically, we can stand up automatically all the well-lit paths directly from our code. I added a few additional relevant examples for some of the things that you're testing internally in other places. So we have a CPU only that's not simulated. The well-lit path is simulated. This one is not simulated. Spire, the IBM inference accelerator, that's something that we've been testing locally, and of course it's now available. We can do only decode, only inference scheduling, but you could do Spire for each. Leonel mentioned we do have some initial integration with WVA. Okay, we have workloads that the WVA team requested. And we have the ability why we do our automated stand-up, right? Automated deployment for reproducibility. We can take care of configuring, setting up WVA too. Finally, one thing that's going to be basically the beginnings of what we want to put later on the guides, right, for the different well-lit paths. So we had a tutorial on how to run against an existing llm-d LLM stack. Remember, we can automatically deploy, or we can just run against a pre-deployed. So the first tutorial covers that. And the second tutorial, still work in progress, but basically, how can I test? I want to do that interactively, right? I stand up a pod, and I want to get into the pod and start to run different benchmarks just to have, a immediate sense of the performance. So that's a second tutorial for that too. Okay, that's it.
All right. Thanks, Marcio. Questions, comments? All right. I think that's all for today. We continue to make progress. Stay tuned for next release. We're starting the cycle today. Again, we do welcome any feedback, suggestions, and you continue to go from there. Thank you all. I see you guys next week. Bye.